Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in kind of on the aha moment when you discover that you are in a relationship with an emotionally manipulative individual. Someone who might be covert narcissistic, or furthermore psychopathic, a little bit more on the severity spectrum of a personality disorder, more antisocial personality, if you will. And if we look at the defining characteristics, it's because they really don't possess a quality of empathy, of feeling, of attachment. And people might also call this the warm and fuzzies or love. You are dealing with individuals who do not have the capacity, the neurological wiring to feel or truly authentically exhibit these behaviors, the emotion kind of root connectedness to that. And when people find themselves either after a prolonged period and then discovering that they've been, left in the drop of a feather, that they have, this individual who they were in love with, committed to, or, had their heart set on, families with, etc., you've got roots and connections with this person. It's not easy for you to just move on and accept it. They found that this person, has they've blown the lid off. Either they've discovered that, either they can't take it anymore. They've said something that really just broke the camel's back. They've discovered that this person is leaving them basically in the middle of the night. Engaging in a whole different life, is engaging in a whole different profession, doing things with your money that you never thought of, doing things that just completely surprise and have overwhelmed you, and you're dealing with a bewilderment. So it is really that sort of shock and fear and terror that you encounter, and how to really move through that successfully, than what I want to approach here on this video. And then furthermore, I want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. Thank you so much. Much love goes out to you, and it's a privilege and an honor to be able to discuss this very niche and specific topic with you in the privacy and sanctity of the focus here of this video. So thank you so much for your recent donations. It really lets me know that this is, a topic that needs to be discussed. So I want to really kind of go in a little bit more in depth, and then also the why of the psychopathy, why this person is doing this, and to realize it has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault. Your needs are not being met, but furthermore, help give you the cognitive reframing to move on and make this change in a heartbeat. So let's just discuss a little bit of the why of the psychopathy, the why of the malignant narcissist. Realize that these people are operating with neural wiring that does not allow them to attach to others. In other words, they do not have the warm and fuzzies. They do not have emotions of repertoire of attachment, love, sadness, empathy, fear. Even they just don't operate with those emotional feelings, qualities, outlook, perspective, assessments, and sort of that foundation to making plans and decisions that would result in that. So in other words, the quote neuronormals, as some people might refer to it, those people who are wired to have emotions, to have love, to have compassion, to have empathy, to have, want to embrace, to want to have a future, to, feeling that, that attachment to somebody special, you're wonderful, you're so funny, you're so cute, all those and then make decisions so the two of you will be together, travel, have dates on the weekend, be able to, have cute lovey-dovey moments, sessions, whatever it is that you are banking in and you are making decisions to create in your life. This person has zero, zip, nada experience. Zero. And to help you understand that, they have a cognitive experience. In other words, if you had to learn a second language and you had to learn to get along in the culture, you would learn, to pick up the language. And you'd learn how to ask for a loaf of bread. You'd learn how to ask for directions. You would learn how to get somewhere. You would learn the greetings, in that second language. You would, pick it up and then begin to engage so you could get what you want. The psychopath is the exact same way. They discover early on in their life that people, society at large, is caught up in a whole conundrum of behaviors, decisions, choices that are based on emotions that they don't have. And furthermore, they make the assessment that this is a drawback, a hindrance. Why would you have all this emotional junk to them? So they feel it as a weakness. They do not see any sort of adaptiveness with having attachment, love, relationships, feelings, heart, kisses, holding hands, cups of chocolate, cups of coffee, planning a future together, having kids. They don't think that way. They do not feel that way. They don't really feel fear. They don't feel love. They don't feel these things. So furthermore, they are able to mimic or attach that and mimic or, develop the second language of emotions and then mimic. And so it gives them a very discrete ability to be able to mimic others. Particularly if you think of it like a blind person who learns to develop their sense of touch. The psychopath or malignant covert narcissist will be able to develop the appearance, the mask, which is very in-depth for them, to appear as if they're in a relationship to get what they want. Their body can metamorphosize, like what they want to be. They can carry themselves as a leader. They can carry themselves as a doctor. They can carry themselves or mimic as a wife or spouse. They can do all the behaviors. They can use the second language of emotions, but they do not feel it. It's a very much an on and off. Just like if you've ever seen people who are bilingual, these people, they can go from one language to another. And so knowing this to be the case, and if this is a shock and this has made you bewildered to discover this, maybe perhaps get the cognitive reframing. In other words, if you've just discovered this about your parent, your spouse, your fiance, someone you adored, someone you gave money to, someone you gave to the keys to the car to, you've introduced your family to, and you're feeling like you've just got the cancer diagnosis. In other words, you can't believe that this is the case. You're in the shock and the bewilderment, and you want to live in that denial, and you're feeling stuck, and you're feeling hurt, and you're feeling the terror. Look at it this way. If you suddenly found that you were in a relationship with, perhaps right now you are heterosexual, and you just discovered you were in a relationship with a homosexual. In other words, someone just told you, you know what, I've been trying to act normal, but I'm actually a homosexual and I can't go on in this relationship any further. It's not part of my wiring. This is not who I am. If someone were to drop the bomb on you, and you could be like, oh, that makes sense now. You are a homosexual. I get it now. And you've had to live this way because you had to hide this. You couldn't come out of the closet. And even if this person was your mother, your boss, you are feeling like, why was it so hard for me to accept this? But if they were to tell you that, you would realize that basically it's something that you can't change. You can spend all the time you want to try to change a homosexual. You're not going to get anywhere. You can tell them to wear this, say this, change your voice, change your stride, change your whatever it is about you. You are not going to get anywhere if you try to change them. That is who they are. That is who they're hardwired to be. You cannot take a rock and try to plant a seed inside of a rock. It is not going to grow. It's just scientifically based. It is not what or who they are. So if you are heartbroken, you are bewildered, you are depressed because you've learned this, realize, that you cannot change this. And perhaps this will be liberating to you to realize that is who they are and get it now. But furthermore, do not interact with the pathological lying that they have pulled over, the emotional manipulation, the mask that they have, shown to you, yeah, it might be discouraging that this person has, been lying to you pathologically for years. Just disengage, cut off completely. Do not have any, sort of hard feelings, because this is who they are. This is how they get by. They will over-obligate. They will hypersexualize. They will do all sorts of things that are beyond reason, which are very hurtful. And yes, they will hurt those people with whom they have been with against their will. So if they have been forced to be in a situation with you and you have exposed them and it is not right, you are going to get the rage from them, because it is against their nature. It is against their will. And they are going to get this out of their system one way or another. And if people are, blackmailing you, if they are scapegoating you, if they are sabotaging you, it is because they are acting out of this rage, because they are just trying to get you out of their environment, out of their system. And it is, quote, a feel-good thing. In other words, it's an impulse, it's a compulsion from them to try to get rid of the source of their pain, which they are feeling. And, they will abuse and neglect those people with whom they feel this is associated with. Even though it has nothing to do with you, you are not crazy, you did nothing wrong, you are just a loving, caring person, oftentimes giving them exactly precisely what they want as a homosexual, but you are not seeing them for the, quote, psychopath or homosexual exactly in our analogy for the situation that they are. So if you can kind of use the psychological tool of reframing, which means using your ability to see it kind of in a new light, a new way, and you cannot change them. Just as you cannot change the color of someone's skin, you cannot change the hard wiring of a psychopath or a narcissist. And it has nothing to do with you. The fact that this person is wired differently has nothing to do with you. It's just how they are ingrained. And just like a homosexual, well, basically, this is who they are, and they've embraced it and they love it, and they're not trying to change it. And they love the way that they are. They have a certain flair, a certain, way that they are. Allow that to be. Let them go. Allow them to be the person that they are, but get out of the way of the sabotaging. And if they have, kept you as a scapegoat, as a source of blackmail, they're making threats to you, realize that this is just an impulse that they are releasing out of their system to handle the source of pain. And we're going to go into a little bit more in depth and how to really kind of disengage from them. But disengage from them you will. Do not feel bewildered. Do not feel depressed. Have that aha moment for yourself and be like, wow, I cannot change this person. And furthermore, I truly see how I'm not a match for this person whatsoever. Just as if you were trying to stay wedded to a homosexual and you are not a homosexual, this is just like, okay, I get it. Let's just move on. Let's just do this. And it's almost like getting, a diagnosis is kind of like getting a cancer diagnosis for yourself. At first, you might have a sense of disbelief and ask yourself, why me? I never smoked. I never drank. I never did anything, to get this cancer within me. You might have these questions. It's kind of like that. So do not begin, you might ask these questions, why me? But begin to ask better questions, because once you do, you'll begin to say, okay, this has occurred. This is what I've just been told. I need to see it for what it is, and I need to take action now. I can procrastinate, and I cannot get treatment. I cannot get therapy. I can just say, why me? And I'm going to, pound my hands against the floor and kick my feet. But, eventually there's going to be a sobering moment when you're going to say, okay, this is what it is. Okay, now let me surround myself with some specialists who can eradicate this from my system, clean it out of my system so my healthy cells can begin to proliferate and I can stop the unhealthy cells from proliferating and going on, because that's really kind of like what staying in the denial is going to do. It's going to allow that cancer to fester. It's going to allow your decisions to feed those abnormal cells, those abnormal feelings of wanting to stay stuck with them. It's going to, continue to keep that cancer within. And then, as you know, cancer will proliferate. It will grow. It'll take over your body. And in this case, it'll take over your time, your energy, your emotions, and keep you bewildered, keep you stuck. It'll feed those emotional chains and emotional, energetic, messages that are going into your body and keeping you down, depressed, and bewildered, because you're not seeing things kind of clearly. You're not taking the right steps now. So realize that basically, use the tool of cognitive reframing. Realize that this person is, completely different than what they have been showing you. So again, they need to mimic the feelings of being in a relationship. They see others nothing more than a doll, a pet, a table that they have to wipe off, a lamp that they have to get a new light bulb in. They do not see people in any sort of different light. They don't see them as kind of having that, that which makes you truly a human. They don't have that compassion, nurturing, warm and fuzzy, I care for you qualities. They don't have it. They don't. You cannot change the wiring of who they are. Just as if you could not change the wiring of the fact that someone is homosexual, or change, a heterosexual to be gay. If you're going to try to change that, you're going to set yourself up for a whole life of disappointment and discouragement. And if you keep on that path, you're basically going to become addicted to that erroneous thinking and stay stuck and addicted to disappointment and bewilderment. And, and until you can realize, wow, I've been hoping or using my emotions on something which is not a repertoire for emotions. It's kind of like they don't speak the language. If they were to be thrust in another country with a whole nother language that they did not speak, that is what it's like for a psychopath. They're basically, if they're English speaking and all of a sudden they end up in, just say, Australia, and people are speaking Australian and they don't speak a lick of Australian, they're going to do whatever it takes to get what they need, correct? They're going to, bang, whatever it is they're going to do to get what they need. I mean, that's kind of like what a psychopath will do. They'll adapt very quickly and use what they have to get what they need, and then never feel any emotions, regret, remorse. They won't be afraid. They will exhibit those high risk behaviors. They will just take what they want. They don't feel bad. They just don't. It's not part of their language. They just feel like, this is what I do. In fact, this makes me better. I am the way that I am, and I'm going to use this to get myself ahead. And it doesn't really matter who they hurt, what people they lie to, what emotions they mimic. It's just how they are wired. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.